This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains spoilers from Marie Antionette and history, as well as mentions of the Virgin Suicides, The Great, Hamilton, and Supernatural. For full list, please see show notes.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the fantasy, literature, and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing Marie Antionette, directed by Sofia Coppola.
Which is based on the book Marie Antoinette, The Journey by Antonia Fraser, who, when Sophia had asked for rights for her book, essentially, Antonia said, I wrote a brilliant book, so I told her to go make a brilliant film.
I think a brilliant film is exactly what was made here. I have a little story and a little confession, Jess. Are you ready for this?
Always.
Okay, you don't know this. I have not told you this. You do not know this. This will be new for you because it is important to always learn, grow, change, and evolve your friendships and your friends. You must stay, yes. Okay, all right.
We must stay vigilant in our newness.
We must stay vigilant in our friendships. Okay. Now, Marie Antoinette, this came out in, 2006? Yeah?
Yes.
Weird time for me. No lie. 2006, weird time for me. Saw this in the theaters. And I knew what to expect to a certain degree. Like, I was familiar. But I did not love this my first time in the theater, which is crazy to say out loud, but that's the truth. And I think it's because in the theater with like the people that I was with and like it was, it's not the right environment for a movie like this because, I mean, the big screen obviously is the right place for this, but I don't know. The audience was not the vibe. And that kind of goes with Sophia, the director, saying that this wasn't like a hit when it came out. It was very polarizing when it came out. But I remember being like, what is actually going on? Nothing happened. Like it was all just kind of airy fluff. Like there wasn't any substance. And it took me multiple viewings and really sitting with it to understand that that is the point. Like the airiness, the slowness, the boredom, the colors, the like bursts of joy, all of that is the point. And this is one of the most visual movies that I have ever seen.
So now I have a question because this movie came out after the Virgin Suicides, and I know you loved the Virgin Suicides. Did you love that movie? Two-part question, really. Did you see that movie before seeing this one, for knowing Sophia's work? And I can't remember, did you love the Virgin Suicides right away?
Yes and yes.
Oh, so that's this is intriguing to me. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what I was expecting. I think I was expecting a little bit more dialogue, a little bit more history, a little heavier handedness with the history instead of the light touch that we have. And it wasn't there. And I do think part of that was like where I was at the time, like who I was with and how I was feeling. And like the vibe at the time, but like I didn't connect with this until much later. Okay. And then when I did, it's art. It's art.
It hit you like when you finally got it, were you like, holy shit?
Yeah. And I also think that there's layers to that too, because it's like, yes, it's a beautiful film on the surface. Like, wow, the costumes are really lovely. Like, wow, okay, the setting is very rich. And wow, they are really like acting their ass off. But like, you wouldn't know that if you're not really looking. Like, and wow, the slow moments, the sunrises, like all of these things are important and beautiful and kind of sad once you know the story, because you know where it's all going, and like the awkwardness of it and the uncomfortable parts of it too. You're just like, but when it does all come together, it's just this like cotton candy, sugar spun, delicious feast for the eyes and for girlhood.
Absolutely for girlhood, because I'm so shocked. And this is also so interesting because we know my first foray into Sofia Coppola films, The Virgin Suicides, and it took me a minute or two, also months, for me to really sit with my initial reactions. And this one, right out the gate, I was like, oh, this is going to be so good. And I mean, I was familiar with the teaser posters and the posters and still art from this film. But I didn't have much context of Marie Antoinette. It was very, watching this made me realize I have no recollection of any French history, that I was taught. But the opening, not even the opening scene, because obviously, like, she's being dutiful. She's being married off. She is created. She is the reason why there is going to be relations between Austria and France. But when she goes to France and they're accepting her, and she had to give her puppy away, I was like, that's when I fucking knew. I was like, this shit is so good. Because first she's in the carriage with like her girls, and they're like her ladies in waiting, and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, we're doing this thing. We're dismissed because any remnants of your old life you need to keep there, including her puppy. And she was more devastated losing her puppy than her ladies in waiting, because it was an unconditional love that she received. And it was what kept her during those bouts of loneliness. And that's when I, like, this one clicked for me right off the bat when it didn't with The Virgin Suicides. So to hear that, and again, audience can play a factor in that. And I think about that also with like concert experiences. How many concerts of the same artist that we've been to where we've also seen them in different cities, and we're like, oh shit, do we change where we see this artist moving forward because there is a more energetic vibe that you're getting and sense of camaraderie in certain cities for particular artists compared to arguably some that might be closer to where we live. And artists feel that too. So it was just, when you said that, I was like, wow, because this one stuck out for me right away. I was like, oh, but it's also not a movie that you could necessarily have in the background because, you know, like as background noise, because the story is being told through visual art and minimal dialogue specifically to Kirsten's character, Marie Antoinette.
Fun aside here, just for everybody. Editor Sam watched this like sitting behind me because I was leaning forward taking notes. And he ended up furiously typing away and looking up facts about Marie Antoinette's life. And one of them was like, do they ever fuck? And like he just wanted to know. He wanted to know. And he was very surprised, and he was very engaged with this movie. And all of that to say that he was supposed to be doing something else. And he put that aside and just kind of actively engaged with this. And he really enjoyed the concept of the tent on the border, Jess, where, you know, you go in as Austrian and you come out as French. He enjoyed that that idea, that ceremony, because there are other royals that do that to kind of symbolize that.
And that's not even like that wasn't even obviously the marriage ceremony. It was called the acceptance ceremony, I think.
Yeah, it's just like, here you go. And that even goes to like, she's nude, as they take off her shift, and she's like nude facing out towards France, like, all bare to France. Like it is. And then, just to say, like, this film has a lot of her loneliness, just as you said, and a lot of boredom. And in between that is like these fits and fits of joy. She's very bored in the carriage with her ladies in waiting, coming to this border between Austria and France. They are playing cards, they're gambling a little bit, and they're eating, because those are the things that she knows to do.
Yeah, because I don't even, there was only so much expected of women. I'm also a little bit surprised. Again, historical accuracy on this movie is, but if you know that you're going to be marrying your daughter off, essentially, typically there's more skill sets involved, especially when she's, the Dauphine of France, and in waiting to be queen. But I guess that also adds to, she was young. Historically, she was 14 years old, and we see in the movie that she has her 18th birthday. But also she's learning different things in France too. She's learning how to play the piano, or it didn't sound like a piano, a version of the piano.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine? Oh my God.
And then we have to assume, like, obviously this movie is in English, but she knows Austrian and she knows French.
Oh, that was also something that editor Sam said, is that he very much appreciated that Sophia was just like, use your own accents. Don't worry about it. Just speak English how you always speak English.
You sent me a meme recently, and it was actually in reference to A Knight's Tale, and it was and I think it said something along the lines of, proof that when the vibes are right, historical accuracy, doesn't necessarily have to be there.
And that's exactly right. The vibes here are just stunning. And I'll tell you my favorite, piece of art in this whole movie, at the end. But gosh, is it beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay. Rip Torn is in this movie. Rip Torn, everybody. R.I.P. Rip Torn. Excellent casting for the king, I think. Excellent.
I felt so bad for him when he died. Is that weird? Because he was like missing his mistress. I felt bad for
upset.
him. Like he was like, he had to like renounce her, obviously, so he can say his confession. But then he was asking for her, so you knew he wasn't lucid. And he was so sad when they were like, King, he's not here. She's not here. But the other part of it was like, he could have just like renounced her, confessed, and had her come back.
But he also had smallpox. So like,
yeah. I had a question. You know how in the scene they have the main bed, and then it was like gated off with the half fence, the gold fence, and then there's a room behind the bed, and it's more like of a parlor room of sorts. Why is there a half fence in front of the bed?
In the main room?
The main bed, yeah. Not the hidden room.
To keep the court there.
Oh, it's like a boundary thing.
Yeah.
See, I thought it was for the puppies to stand here. I want a puppy so bad. I was like, oh, that's so cute to keep them confined with them.
That's very sweet. That's very sweet.
I'm telling you, my historical accuracy on France, way over my head. And you want to know what else you taught me about France? You're the one who showed me Les Mis and now Marie Antionette. And all I remember, and I told you this, I was like, oh, watching this film, especially, I was like, editor Sam, clacking away, finding out, like, did this happen? Does this happen? That I knew. I have no historical recollection of France, except they can put a hell of a revolution on, and their aesthetic. We love a French aesthetic, and their macarons are really good.
And the macarons are spectacular. Okay, Jessica Marie, talk to me about Jason Schwartzman in this movie.
I mean, kid was a prince. He was. What was the part? I don't even know where to begin with him. I don't know much of his work. He's that guy that I'm like, oh, you're there when I see him in a role. Sorry to this man. But it was very interesting because I, again, was looking up. I thought his character was gay. I knew nothing about King Louis. But then he, it hurt for him to get it up. And he evaded. They didn't consummate their marriage for a very long time. I don't know what there really is to say. I mean, like, he was the Dauphin. He was there. But he doted on her, and he stood by her side, according to the movie.
Jessica Marie, I think you have a deeper love for Jason Schwartzman than you understand.
Oh, no, you're going to I love when you prove me wrong. Most of the time.
He's the drummer for Phantom Planet.
No fucking way. He was in Phantom Planet?
Yes, he's the drummer. So the lore runs deep with Jason Schwartzman.
This is just consistent because you know how much I love listening to music, but I never... Did you know this?
I did know this. I was
clearly because you were like, hello. I just dropped this. I listen to that every work trip.
Right. So then. Thank you, Jason Schwartzman. All right. So now that we've established that, he is fantastic in this movie. He's this awkward little thing, and he starts
Alex
out...
Greenwald, stop. I've been duped.
We've blown Jess's mind. We've gone on
a tangent. This is incredible. This is going to be...
I mean, respect. We put respect on the names of people who need it.
Meanwhile, I was like, he's there.
It's all right. So Jason Schwartzman starts off awkward right away when we see him because he can't put his sword in the scabbard. He has to sit there and look at it and hold it for a sec. It's real cute. He really likes to hunt and go on to the hunt. He likes to hang out with all his guy friends. He
likes making locks.
Yes, he likes locks. He really likes locks. This is real sweet thing. Molly Shannon is in this, everybody. Just, did you recognize her?
Not right away at all. And then I heard her talk, and it wasn't even immediately, because then when I was starting the rewatch, I didn't fully rewatch it. I go, oh my gosh, she's right there as one of the ladies in waiting. But she's not really, it's just kind of part of the cohort. She wasn't necessarily one of Marie Antoinette's ladies in waiting, but she was there with nonverbal lines, more or less. So it was later in the film, and I picked that up on the second partial rewatch. But it was the first one that I didn't recognize it was her till I heard her speaking. And I know we said this was a visual movie, so I heard her speaking, and I go, that sounds like Molly Shannon. But because I was so thrown off, I had to look away and hear her keep talking. I go, that's Molly Shannon. Look back. I go, that's Molly Shannon. And then I did my IMDb search because looking at it, I was like, no, I would know. But I didn't until I heard her.
And she is gossiping this whole movie. So she's an aunt. She's one of the aunts to Louis and the family. And she and the other aunt, the other one that is whispering all the time, they're always gossiping, are kind of like the matrons. I just think it's very fun. It's very funny. And okay, so we're here. I want to mention these things. The king, immediately, the first thing we hear about the king is he's asking about Marie's bosom. He's like, that's the first thing I think about and look about when I meet somebody is the bosom. It's like, okay. And that is the first thing that he does is check out her bosom. And the first thing that Marie does is she gets out of the carriage. She comes down. She meets the man responsible for this match. And she's like, I will never forget that it was you who was responsible for my happiness. And this guy goes, and France. You're happy, but France.
I took it as she was being snarky. Oh. The delivery Oh, it wasn't meant that way?
I have not taken it as being snarky. I was taking her as being
I'm going to recognize you. You're responsible of whatever shit goes down here. That's how I took it.
No, I didn't take that way at all. 'Cause she doesn't know what's going to go down. She has no idea.
That's true. She's just a 14-year-old girl.
She's just a 14-year-old girl.
Doing her duty.
That's how I took it. But the guy is like, I don't really care about your happiness. I'm here for France. This is for France. And that is kind of like one of the themes is like, France, this is a France, kind of hanging over our head, which, fun stuff. We have our awkward meeting. It's very awkward. You would think our prince would have a little bit more charisma, but he does not. He has no riz.
He has no riz.
Rizless. He's
also there. You brought up a good point before we started recording. He's 15. She's 14. So they're like, it's still like I say in quotes, appropriate age match. He's also the old, it's funny because it's like his brother, the heir and the spare. His brother has all the personality. He's fucking his wife. He's making babies. He has not a care in the world. And if something were to happen, so be it. His kid is also the first. His first kid is his son. So he's just coasting through life. He's like, I don't need to be ready for everything. They're all focusing on him, being Jason Schwartzman's character. But like knowing that he's this 15-year-old prince, arguably scientifically going through puberty. And it hurts for him to get it up. He can't even get excited and thrilled that he's about to sleep with his wife because it hurts him so much. And again, this is not implied in the movie. I had to look this up because I thought he was gay. And I could see why I'm like, okay, lavender marriage. But again, this was also a time where people checked to see if marriages were consummated. And if, more importantly, if the woman was a virgin.
Yes.
Because they could have been having sex this whole time and they wouldn't know because there was no blood on the sheet. And that's a whole thing. If you've been following us for a while, you know that, but we won't delve in there. So like, and she's trying because she knows this is her duty to her country and to France because she is the reason there are relations between the two countries.
Well, and her mom scolds the shit out of her throughout this whole movie about not having any sexual passion, that she is stirring in her husband. But I want to talk about Marie Antoinette's first time at the Palace of Versailles. It was better than mine, I'll tell you that. Even with this weird arrival, it was better than mine. That being said, I've never been hotter in temperature in my life than I was on the grounds of Versailles.
Was when you went that one summer, was that the first time you've been there, or have you been there before?
I've been there twice, but this last time,
the most recent time, was
so
like middle
hot.
of summer. Yeah,
it was so hot that respect.
That's what I was wondering with filming this movie, where I was like, this is very ornate, this is very detailed. Did they recreate? I mean, they are on the grounds. This is not this is not a green screen or anything. And when I was looking up some of our fun facts, they gave her permission to film this on the grounds. Even when they were doing reconstruction, I think the Hall of Mirrors, like when construction was happening on site, they still allowed her being Sophia, to film this.
Which is like amazing.
Holy shit. Because obviously, the whole French Revolution and down with aristocracy and everything, but it was like the opulence. I think about the hallway, the Maps hallway when we went to Venice, not Venice, the Vatican. Mm-hmm. Holy shit! And we were like, oh my god, and you were like, this isn't even going to tap the surface of Versailles.
Yep, it is incredible shit. I think that this silent entrance that Marie has to do to like almost push through all these people of Versailles to get into her own goddamn palace is absolutely amazing. They are silent as the grave. and just staring at her. They're starting to gossip behind her and judging the shit out of her. And the only people that are receptive to her are the children. They give her flowers. They follow her around the suite. And they are kind to her. And they are the only ones at first that are nice. And we like that. Jess, did you like her wedding dress?
Hips. I liked it. I mean, it was like...
hips. It's accurate. Historically accurate.
There was nothing about the fashion that I didn't like. True story. Even when she... goes to have her like cottage core life and garden and just kind of like be. And she eventually says like, this is my escape from like all the rules and regulations. She says, I want you to style a dress for me that I can be in the gardens, that I can like move with, that I'm not restricted. There was one point where they were like going through a stroll through the fields. And my first thought, I was like, oh my God, all those thistles up your dress. Like, why isn't anybody wearing pants? And then I go, whoops. They can't wear pants.
They cannot wear pants.
So I was like, okay. But there was nothing that I didn't love. Maybe the exception of like the slip. I hate the slip.
Hate a slip.
Like I hate like a peasant-y slip.
Like I don't like that in the bath where she has to wear her shift in the bath.
Oh. That was, I can just feel it. It's
I don't love that. I don't love that. Okay. So the wedding, it's all shot very beautifully. You have to watch it. She's in this beautiful dress. Like she looks amazing, right? They're dancing. The king is there with his mistress DuBarry. She's dressed she's dressed in jewel tones and everybody else is dressed in pastels. She's the mistress. There's fireworks. Editor Sam and I were both like, God, that must have cost a fortune to have all those fireworks out in the grounds of Versailles. But yeah, absolutely beautiful. Blessing of the marriage bed. But nothing happens. Okay. But Marie is awoken by the entire court the next morning, pulling open her drapes, and there's music that starts here. And it happens like, I think 3 more times, and it's the same music, and it's like she's in hell because it's like the constant repetition. So if you're a Supernatural fan, and you should be, this is a heat of the moment situation. Jess, do you know why all this protocol was invented?
That I do not.
I will tell you. All of this bullshit was invented to keep everyone so fucking busy and looking at everybody else that they are not plotting to kill the king.
Oh.
And they are watching
sense.
Everybody else. And they're so busy having to report to people because, like, as we were saying, the lady, our main person of the bedchamber, right? Our head, the
mistress,
lady,
the comtesse, or something.
Yeah, she's the one directing everything. Like all of those people report to her, and then she reports to somebody else, who reports to somebody else. So it's all of these checks and balances that keep everyone absolutely busy, so that the king is not in danger and he can fuck off and do whatever he wants. Yeah, whatever he wants. And that is why it was invented. And also, it's important to remember that Versailles is not in Paris. That's why they have to go to Paris. It's not a significant distance, but it is like a kind of a pain in the ass to go back and forth.
45 minutes outside of Paris by train. So when they go to the masquerade ball, they're on horse.
Yeah. Yeah. And when they go to the opera and when they go do all of these things in Paris, it is a distance. And it's like, that's why she says, like, don't you want to go to, because it's a whole day, night thing to do. It's not just like, a one evening thing. It's like a whole, because they have to have a reception, they're royals. So it would be entertaining for a long time because Versailles was so removed.
Which is why it was such a big deal for them to do the masquerade ball, because they were like, we kind of get to suspend the belief that we aren't who we are for the day. We don't want anybody catering to us. We don't want to host. We just kind of want to be and have fun. It's like escaping the stresses of royalty. Oh, my life is so hard. This is us because we want to be royalty.
So I would love this. Okay, so there are messages here. There are a lot of messages in the costuming, in the setting, in the placements, in the food, in the breakfasts, in the breakfast that we have that is laid out in front of us every single morning, where Louis and Marie have to eat next to each other. They don't talk.
In front of everybody.
The nobles are parading in front of them, and there are servants behind them that are at beck and call. She can't even put her water glass down. It has to go back. You know, it's a whole protocol. It's a whole fucking thing, right?
But the protocol is tied into, if everybody has a task, nobody has time to do all these other things.
Nobody has time to shove a knife in me. Yeah. So if we look at the food that they're eating, I think it's really interesting, because obviously this is the French Revolution. We have the bread crisis. Like, everything is bad. Everything is bad. Louis loves to eat that goddamn breakfast. He is all up in it every single morning. He's like, yes, there's pheasant, there's like towers of macaroons, there's fruit, there's everything that's there. It's just opulent, opulent, opulent. Well, we know in the back of our head that France is starving. So it's all just kind of part of it. But again, we are in the palace. We are with them all the time. They don't see any of that at all.
They're so far removed from society that even when they're discussing, you know, increasing the taxes because they're going to war to fight with their American brothers against England, they were like, that was one of, and you know what? It's interesting because you're supposed to have all of these advisors. All of these advisors are supposed to be guiding you in the right direction. And Louis is saying, but who's going to pay for this? Oh, we're only going to increase the taxes a little bit. They're not even really going to feel it. But Louis is so far removed because nobody is telling him what's going on with the people that he's like, well, if it's only a little bit and they're not going to notice a difference, then like, you know, this is going to be for the good of France.
He's also a child. So there's also that, and he doesn't see, and like, why doesn't he go look? Why? Because he's a child. Like, because he's a child. Like that. You know, he's been groomed he's a child. All right, like that's okay. All right, and because he's a child, Jessa, and as you said, the marriage has still not been consummated. On the flip side of that, the king is cavorting in public with his mistress, and everybody is like a little bit weird about it
because it's like everybody knows. There's no shyness to it. I kind of like that Marie Antoinette, she's like the mistress would come up to Marie Antoinette and just stare her down. And Marie Antoinette's like, she'd be mean girl and she would talk to the other girls, but she wouldn't even say anything to Madame de Berry, because she's like, I don't have to say anything to you. You have to follow these protocols that we have in place. And then de Berry wants to be butthurt about it.
Yeah, and when Marie does end up saying the line that she said in real life, there's a lot of people in Versailles today. She says that right in front of the king. So there can be no fucking doubt that she did it. Look at all these people, and I'm doing it in front of the king.
And I said it in front of all of these people, so you can't say. And she goes to her advisor. That is the last thing I'm ever going to say to that bitch.
Yep. Not going to do it again. So as we're going throughout this movie, remember, it's very pastel. It's very kind of airy, but things do actually happen. Like Marie is really trying, just as you said, to connect with Louis. She meets the hunting party. She's like, hey, maybe I can meet you halfway. And it just doesn't work. He returns exhausted. He doesn't have anything to do with her. And though she has her own faults, she just, again, as you said, is not paying attention to politics. And her advisor is just like, yo, here's a letter that your mom is going to yell at you for. But like, have you heard anything that I'm fucking saying about this? And she goes, do you like the sleeve with ruffles or without ruffles? And he looks at her like, are you fucking serious? But then she's like, okay, no, I was listening, but like, I'm married. I'm married into the French royal house, but I'm also Austrian. And if you guys are in a conflict, what do I do? And he's like, you have to smooth it over and be both. and
You have to
support
be both.
both interests. And of course, a woman has to do everything,
but get none of the credit. And also, while being like, everybody's talking shit. And you know what really bothered me? I mean, of course it bothered me, is the fact that she was so warm, so welcoming, so everything, so embracing of this new country people that she was marrying into. And they were so standoffish to the point where she's like, okay, well, let me start adhering to protocol. And then everybody's running their mouth saying, oh, I heard they didn't consummate because she's so cold. She's so this, she's so that, she's so off-putting. She's literally mirroring everything that you told her so she could follow royal protocol and this decorum that you put her up for. Meanwhile, when she goes outside of her, French boundaries, I'll say in air quotes, when she's applauding at the opera, this is the moment where I feel like Louis, he was like, yeah, they were in a marriage of convenience of sorts, but this is when he was like, wait, I really like this girl. Like, she's still clapping and everyone's just looking at her and she's kind of my manic pixie dream girl right now.
It's like, oh, and you really feel for her.
Yeah. Like, and again, we go back to the ages, like they were 15 and 14 and then they were 15 and 16. Like, if you think about where you were in those like relationships at that point in your life, if you like had those crushes and everything, you're learning these things together.
I'll tell you what she learned from her mother is fucking direct communication, because one of my favorites is when she goes to Louis and she's like, all right, look, I am going to be humiliated if your brother's wife gets pregnant before me. And Louis is like, all right, I got it. Things will be flowing when I get back from this hunt. And he tries and it still doesn't work. It still doesn't work. Again, though, I want to point out the isolation. There are several moments where Marie is left alone or is by herself, and the camera either zooms in or zooms out on her to show just how isolated and alone she is. And in this instance, she's like framed in a window, kind of like looking, and it's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful.
And when you think of dialogue, even at this point of where we're recording in the podcast, in this specific episode, we've already had more dialogue than this entire movie of 2 hours.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, oh my gosh. Okay. Let me see. The hot pink dress is my favorite dress. I'm going to say that, the hot pink dress. Wait. But this first shopping that we have we're shopping for shoes, we're shopping for feathers. I absolutely love that. And I think that I would have died if that old doctor asked my husband if your body is responsive right in front of me. Oh my God. Death. Because the king even knows now that the marriage is not consummated. And he's like, what is wrong with these young people? Like, maybe the doctor will help. The doctor doesn't help.
Well, and of course, it couldn't be the man's fault.
No.
Of course. And now, because the marriage still has not been consummated, there's, words in the wind that this could dilute everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's going to happen? Because now the sister-in-law is pregnant and gives birth. And they're at the breakfast. Louis and Marie are at breakfast. They're having their usual silent, fucking awkward breakfast. And the head of the household, the mistress of the household, comes running in being like, you were requested at the birth. You're requested at the birth. They go. The nephew's born. It's a boy. The brother drops the line of like the first, generation boy, like, a little dig, just a little one. And here's what I love. I love that Marie keeps it together, walks to her room, closes the door, and then breaks down.
That might be one of my favorite scenes. I thought, like, there's so many beautiful scenes, but how real that scene was, because she still has to keep an air. I mean, she is the queen. She has to keep an air about her. And it was just like another one of those things where I got like mad at the people saying that she was so cruel and cold and like unapproachable, because everybody who did know her knew the type of person that she was, and she was putting on this face for everybody else. And it was just a sense of vulnerability that she was only able to show to herself and to like us, the viewers. But in that moment, she's only able to be vulnerable by herself because she can't show her weakness.
And that shot of her in the corner on the floor with her head in her hands, with her dress, with the wallpaper. It's beautiful.
Girl,
beautiful.
You know, she would have loved a good shower cry.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me that Marie Antionette deserved a shower cry.
All about it. All about it. Okay. How do we deal with all of these feelings? We shop. We have a shopping montage to I Want Candy, and it could be one of the best scenes in the world. There's food. There's champagne. We're gambling. There's shoes everywhere. Everywhere. I want this. I want this. It's classic. It's amazing. My friends are here. I love it.
There's color, there's frill, it's quick, it's fast, and I mean, the music in the film overall, it's like you have these slower moments with like the traditional classical music. I mean, even they're playing games where they're guessing Mozart as the character. They're basically doing like a modern day, an old day heads up from the app. But yeah, that scene, and then like it's just a visual masterpiece, this movie.
It really is. We have our 2-foot bird hair, right? Our birds all up in our hair, and she loves it, right?
Well, I like where they were mocking DeBerry, too. They're like, oh, which one are we going to give her?
It's like, love it. So what do? We're bored, right? This movie is about female boredom. And like, what do? We're boredom. There's dancing. What do? We go to the mask ball in the best, worst mask available. Just a piece.
Just a string across your eye.
But she looks great. Like, it looks amazing. Like, but I mean, and here we meet Christian Grey. I'm sorry, Jamie Dornan. I'm sorry, Count Fersen of the Swedish Army.
Well, and he's a little fuckboy, and they all say it. They all say the fuckboy that he is. And she's like, I'm intrigued. Of course she's intrigued. But to add to the loneliness, it's why fast forward. And she's having an affair with him.
Yeah, a very torrid affair with him. But we meet him here first in Paris at the ball. We go back home to Versailles. Again, if there's one thing Sophia is going to do, it's make Kirsten look out of a window longingly into the sunrise. She'll do other things too, but that's one of them. And she does that a lot here in the carriage. They ride back to Versailles, and the king is sick. He's got smallpox. He's dying. Oh my God, he's dead. But he had, just as you mentioned, he had to send away DuBarry. DuBarry's gone. He calls for her as he dies. His letter says, like, I appreciate my strong feelings of friendship. That would have pissed me off. That would have pissed me right off.
Crash the fuck out. I know I've been talking a lot of shit, but this was also the part as she's being sent away. He took care of her. He left her well off. I also have to be very mindful, as we know, that sex work is the oldest profession in the world. And this is also a time where women were limited in what they had access to. So, like, at the same time, I'm shitting on DeBerry because I guess my own internalized misogyny. But at the same time, like, she was trying to sustain a life for herself, realistically.
She was. And she has her own...
With her pet monkey.
Her pet monkey. She has her own history. If you're interested in that, you can look up her history. The actress has... done several films. She's very good. Okay. So the king is dead. Louis is crowned. God save us. We are too young to reign. No shit. The coronation, absolutely stunning. It's like a Renaissance painting, the way that she's there, and just, you have to see it. Nothing I can say can like really get that across. And then they're walking down the stairs. Amazing. The boat battle. Cute. The boat hair. better. Amazing. Like, fantastic. But here's our 18th birthday party. We're 18.
How fun. This was a fucking rager.
This was amazing. They stayed up all night. They watched the sunrise on the fountain in the morning, but they're gambling. There's cake. There's plate spinners, right? Like,
I was also like really bummed because you have Louis. He's like, let's retire to bed kind of thing. And she was like, but don't you want to stay up? Let's go party. Let's rage. And he was like, you're worthless. Like, I was like, is this sudden malice sound like he is? And then she kept going and he goes, don't spend our fortune. And then you realize that she has this habit but also to defend her, she didn't have a lot of, what else did she have going for her? So I do feel like part of the reason, again, I did minimal, I won't say no, historical retracing and fact checking on this. That they positioned her having this wonderful brand new house in the countryside to control her fucking spending.
yeah, which is kind of what it was. Because, she burned through $50,000 this month.
I'll just ask him for more.
Yeah, like,
Imagine $50,000 in that time.
I mean, good on her. Good on her. Here we have a crossover with Hamilton. Lafayette. Guns and ships. The Americans are asking for help in their revolution. Can we help them? Yes, because fuck England, says France. All right. We're going to raise taxes. It won't be that bad. It won't be that bad, right? Can't possibly. It won't be that bad. It won't be that bad. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Just so you know, I did like an inflation equivalency, and $50,000 in 1776, I'm like loosely, because we're in guns and ships territory, is worth over $2 billion today.
Yeah, I could do that. That light work.
Easily.
Light work.
Yeah. I was like, that is a casual day. $2 billion in a day.
Casual.
I can see why Louis wants to send me off.
Yeah. Honestly, it really sucks that all of our billionaires are gross and insane and ugly. Cause like they're not doing what you should be doing, which is giving all of that money to me so that I can spend it the way that it should be fucking spent. These guys have absolutely no imagination.
Which is one of the things the advisors would say, because they would tell her spending, like, you don't even have enough to do your charitable donations to basically make good on the French people that you're supposed to be representing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The Austrian emperor, which is Marie's brother, shows up and basically says, fuck him. And then goes over to Louis and says, hey, fuck her. Why aren't you fucking her? And then they have a very interesting conversation about locks. And then she's in a cherry dress as she's like, it's very cute. It's very funny. They finally sealed the deal. The marriage is consummated. We love that. We love that. I like that we cut straight to a birth. It's like, It's like none of this in between. Right to birth. Oh, you poor girl. You were not what was desired, but you're no less special to me. A boy would belong to France, but you belong to me. I kind of like that. I like that. Yeah, it's sweet. It's sweet. So Jess, as you said, she gets her retreat now. She gets her retreat. We're curbing her. This is go here and just fucking chill for a bit. And she does. She farms. She's in the simple dresses. She's in the garden. There's animals. She is though alone, and she does get bored after a while. Again, the theme of like boredom and being alone. Her daughter's there, but like nobody really else. Her 3 friends end up showing up. They're reading in the field. They're talking about what is the natural state. There's a lot of frolicking in the grass. Sophia is going to put Kirsten Dunst in grass in a white dress in the sun and make her run around and sit in it. That's what she's going to do. You know what? It's awesome. It works. She looks ethereal. So I see the vision.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, don't fix it. Again, we're bored though. We get bored on the boat. What do we do? I'm going to put on a performance. I'm that bored. I'm going to sing for everybody. Invite all the nobles who feel slighted that they're not invited to my country estate over to be my captive audience, and I'm going to sing in front of them. That's fun. That'll be amusing. That'll give me something to do, right?
It'll give me something to do. She's actually a good singer. Like, I was impressed. And now we're appeasing everybody so nobody has their feelings hurt and nobody feels ousted.
Yep. Louis shows up and, he like leaves and then comes back a little bit later and says, hey, we're having a ball for the American soldiers. Show up. And Count Ferrison's there. Hey, buddy. You know who else is here? Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy's here. And Tom Hardy brought the oysters. My good man. Editor Sam goes, is that fucking Tom Hardy? I said, yeah, it is. Yeah, he is. But again, a really fun party here. We got party games, as you said. We have glass spinning.
I love a party game. I think party games are underutilized. I mean, I feel like sometimes we grow out of them because you have party games. Like, if you're doing like high school, college, 20s kind of thing, or even if you're not going to go to college, just like house parties, and then they go away for a little bit. And I think there should be like more game nights and more fun games. And I love how smart they were being with their answers. Like again, like their heads up game. Somebody was, quote, Jesus Christ. And somebody had asked, is the person with us here today? Is that, and I was like, and everybody was said yes. I was like, ooh, they're witty. We like this. I thought it was just so smart. And I was like, that is like those but like these are times where you don't have your technology. You rely on actual interaction and conversation to have, like, I just thought it was so good.
It is. It is. And fun. They had fun. They're playing hide and seek upstairs later where they're like in and out of doors, and that's how they end up hooking up. I love that shot of her with the fan and the stockings. Like,
yes, it's so good. And I loved the fan. She had some of her fans. And like the whole thing is very coquettish. She's very, she's flirty. It imbues what you think, how frivolous everything was to this group of people at the time. There was not a care in the world because they could not be touched. Everything was fine. It's not going to impact us.
Yep. Ferrison is away. He leaves. We're hooking up. Ferrison goes. He leaves. And Marie, again, is alone. There are shots of her walking upstairs. She's alone. Her two ladies in waiting are steps behind her, but she's alone. She's walking around gazebos alone. She's in the parlor with like Louis and the friends, and the friends are gossiping and playing cards. And she's bored. She's like, do you want to go to the opera? And he's like, no. She's uninterested in the food. She's like picturing Ferrison on a battlefield, and she's like running away to solitude. Meanwhile, this is kind of where the revolution is starting to pick up. Our advisors are telling Louis that like, hey, the debt is grave. This is really expensive. Like, what are we going to do? There's going to be riots. And then we have the quickest little scene of Kirsten, and she's in a bathtub and she's got black lipstick on. What does she say, Jess?
She says, let them eat cake, which is something that she never, like the real Marie Antoinette, I found out never said. And they bring it up here. But then, like, again, in my minimal historic research, she actually never said this. But it was I say this in quotes. She said this in response to somebody allegedly saying, like the French people, like, we're out of bread. And then she allegedly said this comment, oh, well, if you're out of bread, fine, let them eat cake. But the context of that quote is of how far removed aristocracy is from, like, the normal people of France.
And she became, because like that got out. So she became this hated figure and like the reason. And like she was the one, because there are posters that show a little bit later of like, of her portrait. And it says like Queen of Debt, spending France into ruin. Like she became this.
Because of course, blame it on a woman.
And blame it on a woman.
Granted, like she was using some of that money.
Help. Yeah.
But she didn't help the situation. But they also like, how did they curb her spending habits? Sending her away. So this problem wasn't solely hers, but she was the scapegoat because she's also, at the end of the day, she was a foreigner. She wasn't French. So she was a foreigner and she was a woman. And so who's the easiest target? Someone we're unfamiliar with.
She did do her duty and gives birth to a baby boy, the Dauphin of France. Like we have our heir, we have the celebrations, we have the portraits, we have all of this. And then we have just what you alluded to is this opera scene where, Marie gets bored again. Like, we should also say that she loses a child in between all of this, and there are portraits that come in with the newborn baby, and they're taken away, and the baby is removed and put back. You need to watch that because there's no fucking dialogue, and you won't know what's going on if you aren't like keyed into that. But this opera, this is like the same opera, the same situation, the same setting of what happened before. And she claps at the end because she's very moved by the music. And instead of indulging her and joining in and like really loving this new queen, everybody looks at her like, shut the fuck up. Shut up.
When she was embraced before and now she's so hated.
Yep, absolutely hated. The next day, it's the storming of the Bastille. We know what that means. The revolution is coming closer. It's tightening. Remember, Versailles is not in Paris, so everybody has to come to Versailles. That's why they have this kind of time
on foot.
Yeah, on foot. That's why they have this time. So the advisors are like, hey, like, you've got to fucking flee. And Louis and Marie are like, no, we're going to stay, but everybody else needs to go. So all of the ladies in waiting, all of the friends, all of the cousins, all of the like prince and princesses of the blood leave. And again, like Marie is all alone. She's framed in the doorways. Everybody leaves, very alone. Louis goes to hunt in the next morning, and his manservant comes out and is like, there's a fucking mob approaching. Like, get back to the goddamn palace. What are you doing? What are you doing? And then in the night, like they're chanting and breaking windows in the night. A guard comes through, save the queen. They're coming to kill her. She doesn't hesitate. She says, get the children, right? She gets the children. They're there. All in one room in the night. The children are crying. They're crying. And then Marie goes out to the crowd. What does she do?
She like succumbs to them and like bows to the people. And she does it alone. Again, she was able to silence them by, in a way, like, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like, when you, like, submitting to the crowd. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, she submits to the crowd, but doesn't say anything, and then they became uproarious again.
Yeah, she acknowledges them, she sees them, she bows to them, and they are absolutely silent, and then it's just like, hey, boo, fuck you. Fuck you. They have the quietest, most tense dinner in the world. And then Louis and Marie are holding hands, and we hear the mob. We hear their footsteps. We hear the breaking. We hear the doors opening. And they are taken. They are taken in a carriage with the children. At sunrise in Versailles, what Marie said is her most favorite, the most beautiful thing she's ever seen, sunrise in Versailles. And Louis looks at her and is like, are you admiring your Lime Avenue? And she looks at him like, I'm actually like saying goodbye, my guy. Like, no, I'm not. I'm saying goodbye to Versailles, to like my life here. It's very poignant, and she's She's like staring off into the carriage as she's done so many times and just like taking it all in at sunrise, her favorite time. And then there is a still image, and it is the broken, messed up bedroom that she spent so much of her time in. And that's the end of the movie. And let me tell you, it's a fucking masterpiece.
I don't want to ask, like, what's your favorite scene? Because I feel like visually you're like, wait, this one is it. And I really like this. And where's a moment? Was there something that you, like, with the story, at what point were you like, did you know a lot of this to be true that stimulated you to want to learn more about her? Marie Antionette.
Oh, great question. Great question. So, like you, I had no special interest in French history at all. It wasn't really a thing. But as I was watching this, I did kind of like a Sam, because once this movie started to really click for me, I was like, huh. And let me tell you, I did the same thing with The Great, because I was not very familiar with The Great either. But then as soon as I got really engaged with The Great, I was like, I need to know exactly what is going on here. What is true? What isn't? Because that is also kind of like a loose history. So it's like, I'm very interested. And Jess, you and I have talked about this several times about some of the historical books that we've read, where you are reading some of it and you're like, gosh, I really would like to learn more about this. Maybe this could be like my little special interest. And while, this has not become like a special interest for me, it is so wonderful to know that these are real people. I can go and I can look this up, and then I can come back and frame this in as much historical context as I want, right? Because like this is an incredibly well-documented period of time. And just as you and I were talking about a little bit earlier, it is so interesting to then compare Hamilton and this movie, because they are happening at the same damn time.
The same exact time. I mean, I even told you when at one point when they're talking about the taxation and increasing the taxes to support their American brethren fighting against England, I stopped the movie and I jumped over to Hamilton and I listened to Guns and Ships and I was like, I know it's gonna happen. I played that once or twice and then I went back and continued the movie because it's like, that's the tandem part that's going on right now.
It's incredible because this feels so ancient. And I just think part of that too is like the pastels, the aristocracy, the protocol, like they're still doing all, like, and everything is just so proper. And again, the powdered wigs, the fashion, like the pantaloons, all of that. It just feels like such a bygone era compared to like, we're young, scrappy, and hungry. But again, that is the wealth divide. That is like a thing. I know it's France and England, but like still. It is just so interesting to see then. So Jess, my question for you, you said you clicked with this right away. Is there a particular like shot that stands out in your brain when you think about this movie? Is it the poster? Is it the cold open beginning where she's just like sitting there in her chaise eating that bright cake and she just smirks at the camera? Like, what do we have?
I love that. I feel like every because again, it's visual. I would see like the scene in the intro. I would see her in the field. I would see her in the bed. And I was like, wait, I know imagery wise, I knew all of these key moments, but I didn't know how they fit together, which was really, really fun to kind of just see it evolve. Or the audio that was happening a lot. The let them eat cake, the clap. I had no idea clap was from this until I watched it, because par for the course, this was the first time that I had seen Marie Antoinette. So it was, again, to see it brought up in the present day and how it's applied in like these social situations. it just makes you, I love something that makes you want to learn more. Even if our big brains only decide to select what it wants to remember, in a moment, you get to remember these new facts, even for, for the next month or so. I can't, it was exciting. Oh, and you know what else? When you get the title card right before the film starts, you have rock music playing in the beginning, which again, if you're going into this blind, you're not sure how it's going to be. Is it going to be, like you said, is it this modern take, or is it a traditional take with modern angle, kind of like with Baz Luhrmann in Moulin Rouge? And thinking about the title card now reminds me of our Long Live Evil book, where the cover is very similar to that too. And if you read it, you have the juxtaposition of present day and falling into your fantasy realm that is, traditionally when we read fantasy, they typically take place in a time of yore. So that was fun. And I was thinking about that when we were just like throughout this, like as we were talking through this episode.
So Jess, are there any fun facts that you would like to share with all of us?
Yeah, I feel like, let me see. I loved my favorite fun fact is like the fact that Versailles, France let her, Sophia, film this on location. I thought that was really fucking cool. There was another, I think it was like more fun facts. I think more like I said, like there were a couple of fun facts, but mostly they were due to historical facts and like, what was it? And you had shared a good article, and we'll put this in the show notes, from Vogue, and it came from like October 2021, that Marie Antionette was just 14 when she got sent over to, from Austria to France, and Coppola said, "I felt compelled to portray how her story had been misrepresented over time. I had this idea of how to interpret her life in a way that felt youthful and girly instead of academic." And I think that's so important, because I think a lot of times, not just in historical fiction, but in history, we're so tied up in the academia of it that you can make it fun. So it's like when you see different, like when history professors and educators, they'll share on social if they were sharing and teaching history in a way that it's gossip, because essentially that's how we have oral history before we even had written history, and that's how things were shared. Then you're tapped in. Tell me more. Wait, this is actually really, really good. And I feel that her portrayal with so much of the imagery in this movie helps do that, because I think we keep driving in the fact that she was just a girl. She was a child. And granted, you can, people can argue, well, it was the time, like everybody was younger then. Again, as this is happening at the same time as the American Revolution War was happening, they were young too. They fucked out of England to start a new country as mostly teens and a couple people in their 20s. Like, why aren't we having more revolutions?
Why aren't we having more revolutions? That is the question. That is the question. Let's think about that. Let's really reflect on that. Very important. Do you have more fun facts?
Let me see. I mean, it was mostly about the people. Like, there's a scene, like, I'll just like read this. And we pulled from IMDb. There's a scene towards the end, and we're talking about where, everybody's fleeing, right? And both Marie and Louis are saying, like, to the people, like, our favorite, like, our best friends, we want them to flee. And then there were times, like, one of her best friends, they were like, wait, I want you back. Like, I'm really lonely. Can you do this with me here? I thought that was sweet. But I also think, like, no one's going to say no to the queen. Like, what did you think they're not going to be like, no, fuck off to yourself. I'd rather hear your fun facts, because I feel like you have like the movie fun facts, and mine are just more about like historical accuracy.
Okay. Over 100 pair of Manolo Blahnik shoes.
which is a Spanish designer.
Yep. Custom. The crew, as you said, stored their equipment in Marie Antoinette's real ass bedroom because they had that kind of permission. Sophia wrote Lost in Translation as a side project to relax herself from this project, which I thought was incredible. Yep,
I didn't realize she did Lost in Translation.
Incredible. Specifically the Converse shoes scene, they're like lilac Converse shoes next to stocking feet and actual like shoes. That is intentional and symbolic that Marie was still just a teenage girl because Converse is very youthful and it's just in there for a second. And also during this time, pink wasn't necessarily identified with being girly or feminine. It was more about youth and innocence. So that's why there's a lot of pastels. And as Marie kind of gets more serious and gets older, her color palette gets a little bit deeper and darker, and like she's in that hot pink for a while. It's like less pastels and more kind of like toned in colors or white. Again, all part of it. This took 12 weeks to film in 2005. And again, this was not a hit. It was very polarizing. And the jewelry is Fred Leighton. And the jewelry tells a big story throughout this whole movie, because when we first meet Louis, or during Louis's wedding scene, he's got that giant fucking opal on his finger. Marie's wedding ring is a very sweet, dainty, like heart ring. And then as she becomes more integrated in French society, her jewels become more and more opulent. She's even throwing diamonds on her dock very casually. And she's like trying on a bunch of things. And there are two instances of speaking about diamonds specifically, Dubarry sends diamonds that Marie rejects. And Marie, in an effort to like, I'm gonna help the people, says like, the palace jeweler doesn't need to send me any more diamonds. We don't need any more diamonds. Like, we don't need any more diamonds. Thinking that will like do something. Marie was involved in a diamond scandal with another woman, but that was not here nor there in this movie.
Well, look at how selfless she was. She was not accepting any more jewelry or diamonds.
Anymore. Those are all my fun facts. Kind of like you, Jess, it was difficult to separate the facts, the movie facts from like the real, like accurate, because there's a lot of articles that are like, what's the historical accuracy? And like, those are very interesting. And I was looking for what Sophia had to say about it, but that Vogue article is amazing. It's quite long though, to be fair.
Yeah, I didn't get through it prior to reading it, prior to recording. But I have it like tabbed up ready to continue it. I would say, would you watch this again? But you do. Do you do it regularly?
No, I don't do it regularly. I don't know. You kind of really have to be in a mood for this. And I say that having like kind of regularly watching the Virgin Suicides, but I don't know. This is, I would say, one of my favorite movies. However, we have covered my top 5 movies of all time, have all been covered on this podcast. So it is very special that we were able to cover Marie Antoinette, because I think sometimes we all need a revolution, and it can be a little girly. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with being a revolution and being just a girl, because being just a girl kicks ass. So that being said, feel free to follow us on Instagram. We're at ACOFAE Podcast. We're also both on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. We're also on YouTube now. Let us know. Let us know where you want to see us as well. But we will talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.